Hello, welcome to the 29th day of January 2026. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily Good Life meditation, a live video broadcast exercise that I do every morning at 5:30 a.m. here in Japan to remember my life objectives and principles, those which I've outlined in my book, Going Alone. I also use this time to think about the last 24 hours and how I did with the challenges and the opportunities that I met. I review my creed. I go over the 8 objectives, at least name them, and then read one of the principles. I then prepare for the coming day. But before I do all of that, I like to say hello to my new subscribers to the channel and a big thank you to my YouTube members and my Patreon supporters. And I do want to say a little caution that in this video, I do talk about personal subjects and I talk about death frequently, pretty much every day, my own death, my own expectations for death. So if that's an uncomfortable subject, please be forewarned. This is a private diary done publicly, which means that I'm at liberty to talk about anything I want for as long or as little as I want. You, on the other hand, are welcome to leave comments or criticisms as you see fit, which I will read and respond to at the end. All right, with that, let's get started. Looking at my notes for the last 24 hours, I have just one note, uh, technical problem. That's all it says, which was a big one, and it flavored the day yesterday. So yesterday was tax day for me. I spent the entire morning huddled here in front of my desk, borrowed my wife's computer, working on our American taxes, which aren't very complicated, but I did have some work to do. It's my first year to do taxes in retirement, so I don't have a W-4. I think that's what it's called, the employment stuff, but I have various other documents that I need to do, and it's my first time recording my retirement income in taxes. Also, it's my first time to do my taxes on my own in over a decade, as the accountant that I've been using forever and ever retired the same year I retired, and I'm left on my own. I wasn't very pleased with my results yesterday, so I've begun soliciting for a new accountant to help me out. If anything, I pretty much completed the work yesterday, but if anything, to double check my work. So I'll have the work that I did, and then I can hire an accountant to do the same thing and see if see how I did, basically, and if it's a worthwhile investment. And if it turns out that I did a good job, then maybe I won't need the accountant going forward. I'll be able to do it year by year. That all said, it's not complete. I have one more document or two documents actually that I'm waiting for that I'll need to fold into the mix before I'll really be ready to complete my taxes. Hmm. There were some problems that I had doing the taxes, which the little hesitation there was, do I want to talk about that here? I don't think I will. So yesterday was defined by technical problems. The problem I encountered yesterday with taxes wasn't a technical problem. It was more of a procedure and administrative question that I need to decide about how I'm going to do things in retirement with regard to my taxes to make sure that I'm on the up and up and not getting myself into trouble in the future. How to do things correctly and accurately, which is another reason to have an accountant on my side, right? But I did spend a lot of time thinking yesterday about how to do that right. All of this in the morning. Now, with regard to the technical problem was I was, meanwhile, while I was doing all of that, I'm also struggling to get my Social Security started. I'm 62 in about 3 months, and which is the eligible age to start Social Security here. If you're, well, not here, but if you're an American, both my wife and I are electing to take Social Security as early as possible. And Yumiko, my wife, is also eligible for Social Security in Japan, so she's going to do that as well. So we're going to pull the trigger on all of those as soon as possible. Now the thing was, I've encountered on paper, I should be within the range of being able to start the process for on the Social Security website uh, in January, given when my birthday is. But there's been a technical glitch. And yesterday, after I got the taxes in order, I had a few little tiny bit of time left, and I thought I'll pop back into the Social Security Administration website and see if I'm waiting for the clock to come in. By the way, if you're an American, and I'll go ahead and explain the problem to you so that you understand. I don't know that my what I'm thinking is the problem is the answer. I'll find out. Basically, when I try to submit the form, I go into the Social Security Administration website and I click okay, I want to apply for retirement benefits. Click, 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 and it keeps asking me, demanding that I identify myself as disabled. And I couldn't figure out why is it so persistent in that. I think I know the reason. It's because until you reach the qualified age, the only way that you can apply for Social Security before that age is if you are disabled. So, you have a disability, you apply for early receipt of Social Security benefits. That makes sense, right? So I think the system is noting my age and saying, you're here too soon, Kurt. You can't be submitting the request for retirement benefits until you're within your age 62, or within the reasonable amount of time. So I keep going back in and trying again. Now, I was taking some screenshots and the error persisted yesterday. And I'm waiting. I'm thinking as soon as I can get close enough to my birthday, that the system will it'll pass some sort of a check, and it'll say, okay, you're within range, you can submit it. I Yesterday I was taking a screenshot to analyze it, and I hit the back button to go back one page, and the system locked me out now. Which is a problem because, for one, you can't call from overseas. You can't just call the Social Security Administration, their toll-free number, because that doesn't work. But there is a Social Security phone number you can call from overseas. That number, nobody seems to answer the phone. At least the one day I tried. So the other options is, I can seek help from the U.S. Embassy if I needed to help facilitate that. They don't actually have Social Security staff there, but they can help facilitate things. Anyway, I'm getting way ahead of myself. You can see there's a term called catastrophizing. I think that's the way it is, and I'm very vulnerable to catastrophizing in my mind. I think it's the project manager in me. I imagine I see a problem, and I play it out. I run it ahead in all kinds of scenarios, and I forecast the issue. So now I'm already having trouble starting Social Security, and I've now locked myself out of the Social Security website, which is my only conduit and court and my only access to the system. What I think happened was the website um, thought what I was doing was a little suspicious. Clicking the back button. A lot of these sites don't like you clicking the back button. Don't do that on your banking website. You'll get locked out. Now, usually the lockout isn't permanent, and it's just a timer thing, and you can give a little time. So I'm going to wait a little bit. I'll wait until next week, and then I'll try again. And if I'm continue to be locked out, then I have the option. I can continue to try to call the Social Security Administration. Hopefully, I'll get through to them. Now, catastrophizing away the way I do, and I like to model these things. The very, very, very worst thing that could possibly happen is that I simply have to get on an airplane, fly back to Los Angeles, and pop into the local Social Security Administration office. Which sounds like extreme, but I've done it before. Before I left and came to Japan, I had a couple and Yumiko and I were setting up our Social Security plan. We were planning for to engage Social Security. We had questions, and we went in to the Social Security office to get those questions answered. And I was astonished at how easy it was and how helpful they were, and there were no issues. Um, it worked out quite well. So there's always that as a last ditch catastrophized option. But as a result, so now here's where I get to use some of my principles, because that's what this is all about, is to illustrate to you, to share moments throughout the day where I have, uh, you know, I have an opportunity to live well according to my own guidebook. First, temperance, hashtag temperance. If I put a hashtag in something, I'm referring to a principle or an objective. Hashtag temperance, to control my emotions. And as I didn't have the last document, I needed to complete my taxes. That was frustrating. But then I realized I would have it. And sure enough, this morning I got the message from that particular institution, that the document is ready. So if I had just waited another day, I didn't need to stress out yesterday. It's ready now. The other thing was the getting locked out of Social Security. Yeah, that was really unsettling. I didn't. I don't want to fly back to the United States to have to pull the trigger on Social Security. But the other thing I did, I used temperance to control my emotions, and then I used reason, and the hashtag reason and hashtag limits, the recognition of true limits and true opportunities, to come up with a plan. The initial part of that plan was to lay out the facts, and then in the afternoon, after lunch, during my walk, my dog walk with the wife, so I gave time, also a little bit of a buffer. This all happened in the morning. I didn't share all of this with my wife until the afternoon, after we'd finished taking care of my father-in-law's lunch. We had gone shopping, and we were out in the dog walks and nice relaxing time I started my garden work. I laid out for my wife the problem, and she did her usual 20 minutes of silence as she thinks about things, and then she and I talked, and we came up with a very reasonable plan of action to move forward. So probably the Social Security website will release its lock next week when I try again. If not, we have a plan, and I have my wife and I are agreed on the plan about what we will do. None of this is terrible stuff. It's just a matter of important things not going the way I hope that they will, and then adjusting my response accordingly, and then having my partner on board to do the same. After that, I spent the remainder of the afternoon in the garden working on. I did some nice things in the garden. First I finished. Well, I almost finished. I have a little more to do. I continued putting up lattice for the beans, the garden beans that I planted last week, so that they can begin to grow and climb as we go finish off winter. I then went into the bamboo forest, and I spread the chopped bamboo bits that I've been working on for the last month or two. I spread them around the floor of the bamboo forest. After that, I went over and I cleaned up the dwarf bamboo uh, grove by the river by clearing a path along the river to disperse the leaves, and then used clippers to go in and cut the bamboo down to ground level, and pulled out some roots. I then trimmed back a pawana tree, I think that's how it's called, and had a very nice little oyatsu, a snack, sitting on the new bench that I installed by the river with my little dog Rudy, and watched the day unfold. It was a very nice afternoon. After that, it was a lovely dinner with my wife, dog walk, bath time, and bed. And now it's morning, and the day begins again. And today, moving ahead to what my plan is for today, it's a work day. I have English club at 1:30 in the afternoon, so I'll be going downtown to do that. And already completed all my lesson plan for that in my lesson. I've got my lesson plan notebook. All right, let's review the objectives and the one principle. My creed consists of the following 8 objectives: to at all times be ready for death with my affairs, my relationships, and my life's work in good order and complete. And they all are. Sure, I haven't got Social Security started yet, but I will. It's in process. I can't complete it yet until I'm within the eligible range and I have access to the site. That'll be important. Yumiko's own Social Security is something that she'll tend to on her own in due time. The my daughter is raised, so that life's work is complete. My book is written, that's done, and I don't have anyone with that I have a sour relationship that I need to fix. I do have people with sour relationships, but I've done everything I can to try to fix them. The second objective is to make good and effective use of my time so that I don't let my days slip through my fingers like sand. The third objective is to develop and maintain good and sound life principles, particularly those that are codified in my book, Going Alone. My fourth objective is to cultivate good emotional reactions, like I said before, so that when life gets tough, I don't react poorly. I control my emotions. I use reason, hashtag reason, to um, think my way through problems, come up with plans of action, and coordinate with my partner and move forward accordingly. The fifth objective is to perform good actions relative to my values, which I strive to do on a daily basis. My sixth objective is to recognize the true limits and true opportunities that are available to me in life so that I am asking myself to do things that are doable and reasonable and not worrying as much about the things that are beyond my scope of control or reach, capability, or interest. The seventh objective is to do just one thing at a time and do that thing slowly and deliberately and carefully. And then the eighth objective is to achieve and maintain a state of balance that comes of deliberate living, deliberate um, actions, and considered reflection. Now, the one principle that I'm going to read that I failed to read yesterday, I just forgot, is public speaking, which is on page 259 of the hardbound edition of Going Alone. Let me grab a candle. Public speaking. The sub-principles of this principle are best words, prudence, felicity, eloquence, literature, rumor, and gossip. Public speaking, these sub-principles are the constituent elements that contribute to being able to use appropriate language, words, and share ideas with an eloquent with a appropriate amount of eloquence and appropriate framing for the audience and circumstance that we're in. Best words is the first part. That's the sub principles where we choose the right words for the context, not using overly flowery or ornate words where not necessary, even if we love such eloquent speaking, but keeping in mind the audience and the circumstance. Prudence is the care that we exercise in what we choose to say. Boy, I forgot what I meant by these things. Prudence and felicity. I need to look them up again because maybe they'll come illustrated when I read it. Let me read it and then I'll circle back to the sub principles. Usually, the text part of what I've written will highlight and explain the sub principles. So if I ever have a case like I forgot what I wrote, then I can just do that, and I'm going to do that now. But first, there's a quote here from the Bible, Psalm 50:23. To him that ordereth his conversation aright will I show the salvation of God. Here's my own words regarding public speaking. Speak and communicate, and we're going to try to flesh out the meaning of prudence and felicity. Speak and communicate always as though any person being spoken of is standing directly before us and attentive to our every word. So watch out against gossip, right? In this way, we shall not gossip or pass idle time at the expense of another, a very poor use of time, talking about others unduly. Use few words and just the right words to cautiously convey our meaning in alignment with our thoughts and emotions. There's where the prudence is. Speaking what is in alignment with our internal narrative and ideas. Avoiding verbal flourish unnecessary to our intent, and that would be felicity. Or the adornment of our ideas with words irrelevant to our more Spartan meaning. Read great writing for the benefit of example and precedent, and never spread stories or trade in the misfortune or folly of others. So we've covered it there. We have best words to use a vocabulary appropriate to the circumstance and the interlocutors with whom we are communicating. Prudence to make sure that our words match our mind. Felicity is exercising the I still don't remember what I mean with the difference between prudence and felicity. I have to look those words up again. I'll move on. Eloquence, where appropriate, but develop eloquence, refer to eloquence, read great books, like the books on my shelf here, so that we can know what eloquence looks like and have it at our disposal through practice. That's one of the reasons I've had lots of people write to me and say, "How can I be successful on YouTube?" First, you're all better ask somebody else. I'm not the right person to ask. But if you do ask me, I'll say use YouTube as a venue to practice your public speaking ability, to be able to convey the ideas in your head in a way that can be understood by others. It's a great venue to do that. Literature, of course, that's another principle here, because literature is the fuel and the resource from which great thinking and great communication can emerge from us. And then rumor and gossip, avoided at all costs. They are sins after all. In my worldview. All right, so I already described what I'm going to do this coming day. I'm going to, first of all, in the morning, because I don't have to be at work until the afternoon. So in the morning, I'm going to finish my taxes. And then in the afternoon, I'll go downtown and teach my class. Or, it's not a class, lead my English club. April says hello to myself and everyone. Hello, April. Elvina, hello, Elvina says good morning to me and April. Elvina says cold and sunny here in Mimico. Again today, we had a 3.7 magnitude earthquake here last night, about 2 hours north of Toronto. My friend who lives in Orillia said her home wobbled a bit. Wow, earthquakes and very cold as well. Here it's just at 0 degrees, and I can't quite read the um, humidity. Michael Littlejohns, hello. Elvina says hello to Michael Littlejohn. Elvina says, did you get logged out of the Social Security website permanently, or is it just a 24-hour temporary thing? That was the crux of the matter. That's what I was worried about. I'm hoping it's not permanent. I think I got booted out for a short period of time due to what I guess would have to be called suspicious activity. I hope it's not permanent, because I haven't been able to contact the Social Security Administration via the international phone number that they have listed. Nobody answers the phone there, so I'm hoping I get back in. We'll find out. If it turns out I can't get back in and I can't get a hold of them, then I'm gonna hop on a plane for LA. Japan Monomore says good evening from Greece, wouldn't be a terrible thing to go back to LA. I have a horror show going on back in LA, and this would give me an opportunity as well to check in on things. I mean, I check in every day, but you know what I mean, check in on purpose. Good evening from Greece. Japan Monomore, good evening to you. Elvina says hello to Japan Monomore. Japan Monomore says hello to Elvina. Evelyn, hi Evelyn. Says hi to myself, Ms. Udatsu, Elvina, Michael Littlejohns, and Japan Monomore. Japan Monomore says hello to Evelyn. Evelyn says, sorry if you mentioned it before, but are you still teaching the online English conversation sessions? I am not. I still have that all set up. I just have my schedule blocked out right now because I think I've got enough. The Tuesday, Thursday thing seems to be enough. So it's in my back pocket, but I'm not doing anything with it. Elvina says, hello to Evelyn. And frankly, Evelyn, I'm spending so much time in the garden and my body is getting very fit for garden work that I'm starting to think that I'm going to. This sounds silly. I've only been at it for a while, and I'm going to continue this job for a year at least because I've they've onboarded me. But I'm almost kind of thinking, man, do I really even want to work Tuesdays and Thursdays? I mean, I told Yumiko yesterday. I said I could spend my whole day in the garden now. Elvina says hello to Evelyn. Tim, hello, Tim. Good morning. Good morning. Weather check for the UK at 8:50 p.m. is 3.1 degrees Celsius and 97% humidity. Freezing, foggy morning. Beautiful blue skies this afternoon. Late catching you today. Good, better late than never. It's always good to see you, Tim. And foggy, freezing, foggy morning. That's those are 3 interesting words to put together. Stay warm, or for you it's nighttime. Evelyn says hi, Tim. Tim says hello to Evelyn. Alvina says hello to Tim, aka Penguin. Penguin says hi to Alvina. Penguin says, have you tried a square ball of twine? LOL joke. It won't run away from you in the garden. Ah, you saw that, huh? I kept dropping the twine yesterday, and it would hit the ground and then roll off across the garden. I'd have to go get it. That's a good idea. I got a long ways though. That twine held up, but that one pole at the end is kind of bending in. I'm gonna have to redig that and position that before I get more twine and finish it up. But did you see how I put bamboo springs, dried bamboo tops at the bottom to act as a scaffolding for the beans to begin to climb. Elvina says, gotta run. Have a great day, everyone. You too, Elvina. Evelyn says, I have to go back to Italy to fix a glitch with the apartment and come right back for the consulate here for Italian residency. I'm happy to do it. Ah, so I'm not the only one who might have to travel overseas, jet setting around just to take care of necessities. Wishing you all the best with that, Evelyn. If I have to make that trip back to America, I'll say, see, sometimes people have to do things for the sake of expedience. Thank you all for joining me today. I hope everybody has a great day or a great night if it's already done evening where you are. Japan Monomura says, I guess you're doing the 53 stages of the old Tokaido is out of the question now. Um, I have no interest in doing the 53 stages of the Tokaido. I've done maybe 3 of the stages because they just happen to be nearby and I've walked the road for most of here. I'm just not that kind of guy. I'm not the kind of guy that would do like the Shikoku pilgrimage, and I wouldn't do the 53 stages. And if people are wondering, it's a famous a road here in Japan that happens to run right past my house here, and there's 53 stage stops along the way, and it's a pilgrimage of sorts. Yeah, there's no chance I'm going to do that. Tim says, I'm impressed with how much you have thinned out the bamboo. It looks great from the other side of the river. Thank you, Tim, for noticing. I am astonished at how beautiful the landscape is now from the house. When we bought this house, it was a wall of bamboo, and now I've thinned out the bamboo so much that from the first floor kitchen or the living room or the patio, you can see all the way across the river. And across the river, you can see through the bamboo, and you can see in the evening, you can see the lights of the house inside. It's quite pleasant. Evelyn says, see you soon. You too. I was joking a little. I see. Yeah. Well, I guess you know me well enough to know that I'm really not a doer so much as a well, I don't know what I am anymore. I'm me. But yeah, I get you. I like the joke. Take care, everybody. Be safe but not too safe. Wishing everyone all the best. Bye bye. Not a joiner. That's right, Evelyn. From one not a joiner to another, I suspect.